Welcome back, fellow enemies of fire. We are here for the only reason you clicked on this video. Let's be real. The Chicago Fire are building their own brand new stadium in Lot 78. All sorts of celebrations to be had. Who's happy? Guys, what do you think?
This day has finally come. Like I think I have been waiting for something like this to happen since God knows when, and it finally happened. We're actually going to have a stadium in the city of Chicago that is going to be owned by the Chicago Fire, and it's not even going to use any public money like like other sport ventures across the city.
Like the Bears.
Like the people who wanted the lot before them. Oh, and our current stadium mates. Correct.
Yeah.
So, James, what do you think? I know exactly what DBG thinks. We spent the entire day arguing.
Yeah.
What
going
do
at
you
it.
think?
It's got to be a good thing. If this is what Joe Mansueto deems worth spending his money on, it's got to be a good thing. I imagine he's thought this through. As far as the impacts, the potential loss of fans, gain of fans, destination, goodwill in the city, goodwill with the whole. Sorry, I thought I saw something. I thought I saw the ghost of Rahm Emanuel creeping in the corner. But there's so much good to this. There's also the questions of why leave Soldier Field? Why even pay for this? Why even spend the just over $500 million, $680 million plus, maybe more with inflation? Who knows?
That's not the questions that I have.
But
interesting.
Why even spend it there when you could spend that money maybe elsewhere and get similar or even better returns?
Well, you want them to be the Arlington Heights. You want them to be the Arlington Heights rhythm?
No, but is a new stadium crucial to success? Is the Soldier Field stadium beyond repair, beyond being able to be taken over? So I have those questions, and then there's also the part of me where it's like, this is awesome, because when we went to Bridgeview, it was awesome. It was a little cookie cutter. It was a cookie cutter stadium, but it was something cool about it. Something like, oh, this is ours. This is theirs. And there was that sense of ownership, I think, was unique to that place, at least. And you didn't get that sense, and you don't get that sense in Soldier Field. You get the sense that you're just like some sort of like, oh yeah, the Bears live here. We're just guests.
Yes, that's exactly the feeling I get every time I go to Soldier Field, because you walk past all these Chicago Bear greats murals. You know, you're literally greeted by a Walter Payton statue right in the main entrance. And I never, I get it, Soldier Field, I guess historical Soldier Field was home for the Chicago Fire in the initial years. But to answer your, to kind of think about what you just said. So Joe Mansueto, he didn't just buy this team just to buy it. Like a lot of, sports owners just buy shit and then, throw pennies at it. Like, he's actually wanting to do something with this. Like, the fact that he's trying to bring big names. He got us to get away from Bridgeview, go to Soldier Field, and it might actually make more sense to build your own stadium, because now you're going to be controlling all those funds from concessions, from parking, all that stuff. It's not going to be split between the city of Chicago and him. It's just going to go to him, and the city of Chicago is going to get their property tax, and that's it. There's more flexibility. You get to call your own shots in your own stadium now. You're not depending on the Illinois legislature to approve a spending bill. You're reaching into your pockets and paying for it. And from what I kind of get the vibe and the sense from reading what his statement is, it's not just a stadium. He wants to turn it almost into like a Wrigleyville type of setup around the stadium. So again, more revenue, more eyeballs, more foot traffic.
But
So
for what? So that's where you run into the problem. You're not going to have more than 22,000 people, which
that's the thing.
I
That's
am
the
the
thing.
I feel like I'm
That's the
the
thing.
only human on planet Earth who has had anything negative to say about this. Yes.
You have
but
been negative all day worrying about the capacity of the stadium. And here's the
100%.
thing. And here's the thing. What you're failing to recognize is, first of all, think about how many season ticket holders the Fire might actually have currently.
What?
Probably nowhere near 22K.
You
Maybe
don't think
half
it's
of that.
10K?
I said maybe half of that, right? And the thing about it is, you think they're really going to build the stadium and just leave it at 22K? They're probably going to build the stadium initially for 22K with the possibility of expansion for later on.
Dude, that's 10 times more. Like, that's legitimately 10 times more expensive
No,
than building bigger
it's
now.
not. It's not, because you don't want to build a giant stadium and only fill half of it off.
Why is everyone so pessimistic? Dude, let's try. Like, look, we're on our path to make the playoffs this year, right? We believe this is a good team, correct?
Yeah.
So then
But the
we
thing is,
also believe that it's going to get better, which means we're going to have 3 straight seasons of making the playoffs, which at that time, let's see how many
we
people are
don't
in
know that.
Soldier
We
Field.
don't know that yet. We don't know that. A lot of this is also dependent on how the USMNT does in the World
I
Cup. Like if they
couldn't
crash and burn,
disagree more.
if they crash and burn, nobody's gonna give a shit about soccer.
You know what people
eh,
are missing? You know what fan we need? We need to be everyone's in the city's second team. Everybody wants to go after fucking families, and we should be going after kids, but like, dude, we need to be everybody's
Is that
second
hold on?
favorite team because everyone in the city already has some European team that they care about. Like, look at James. James was a Man U fan before the Fire even existed.
Is that a metro station that stops right next to it too?
Yes, that part makes me horny. You are correct.
So not only that, so it's easier to get to than Soldier Field.
It is. It is easier to get to than Soldier Field, and the fact that this man is paying for it, yes, those are the two things that just make Toke happy.
I like to think that this stadium is being built with the idea that later on it's gonna the capacity is gonna be increased due
You'd
to
like to
exceeding.
think that, but like, look at that roof.
Yeah, you
Like-
can that roof, you can take it apart and make another set of rows.
I just feel like this is dude. So what you're telling me is you have no further ambition for this team than they did in 2003.
They don't want to, like, I assume he doesn't want to overspend on this project. Like, I assume that he probably thinks, let's start off with 22K. Like, Toronto FC literally did that a couple of years ago. They built their initial stadium, and then like 5 years later, they decided, you know what? We got to increase the capacity. Boom. They increased the capacity. Probably it's going to be the same concept. They're going to go ahead and increase the capacity. Right?
Yeah,
So
I'd like to see
I
that.
think,
Dude, honestly, like, this is crazy.
I think the fact that you're pissed off about that is kind of mind blowing, because you're missing the bigger picture here. You're missing the fact that we're getting a stadium that's privately funded, that's gonna be our own. You're not gonna have fucking City of Chicago.
Yeah, but like, I'm not gonna fucking enjoy it. I'm gonna get gentrified out of this bitch, dude. Like,
you're not gonna
support
look.
They're gonna be like $100 a pop, dude. It's gonna be
Look. We don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what's gonna. You don't know. You don't even know if your situation's gonna change. All right.
You're
worried
right.
about.
I could be hit by a bus tomorrow. You're right.
Yeah. You don't know. For all you know, exactly. You could fucking trip on a piece of ice on the sidewalk in Sioux City, Chicago, and guess what? Guess who's gonna get the club box in the new stadium?
Guess who owns Soldier Field now?
Yeah. So to be negative about something that's not gonna happen, you don't even know if it's gonna happen in 3 years. You know, it's first of all, bro, you're wasting emotions right there, man. Enjoy the moment. When that time comes, when we get our, you know, like, I already gotten my renewal for next year. Like, I already know how much more I'm gonna pay, which is not much. It's like $10 extra. You know, like and again, like I said before, your situation can change, my situation can change, James' situation can change. Like, you're worried about shit that's not gonna happen for 3 years. Right now, enjoy the moment. Enjoy the fact that they're gonna, you know, break ground later this year to build this, you know,
Faster
this
than the
house.
Bears.
Faster than the
Dude,
Bears.
of
They're gonna
course.
they're gonna build this house that, you know, as Fire fans, we would have never thought this was even possible.
Dude,
Especially from the last regime. Like, I didn't think, you know.
well, yeah, I thought we were eventually gonna get contracted at the near the end of that fucking tenure.
So you can tell. So the fact that you're saying that we're not being ambitious is, first, it's not true. Joe Mansueto is being ambitious. He's already done it with player transfer. Like the fact that he tried to go after Neymar, the fact that he tried to go after KDB, he wants the players to come here. He wants people to come here and win.
So you're gonna tell me though that we're about to have the 3 best seasons that we've had in the last 15 years.
I have no idea.
We're gonna open up a spot, and then we're gonna have more people. Then we're gonna open up a spot that dude, it's just gonna fucking it's just gonna completely skyrocket ticket prices.
Like I said, I have no idea what's gonna happen. All right, I can't see Joe Mansueto charge the same thing that Inter Miami is charging in terms of percentage wise. You know, if we're not as good as them or better, you know, especially after the Messi era, or, you know, I like to believe that, you know, he's probably going to take that into account, because, first of all, this is not like the Cubs where, you know, most of the people that might have season tickets come from like the fucking suburbs. They come from Barrington. All right. This is this is like a product that's very, as an American, is almost like an acquired taste. Like, you have to like soccer to actually put up and sit in a season ticket chair to watch the Chicago Fire play. And we all know here that a lot of the American soccer fans, they tend to cheer for European teams. They don't give a shit about MLS. In fact, MLS is an acquired taste.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, that's the perfect word for it, acquired taste.
You know, so I don't think that people are going to be busting down the doors to get season tickets for the Chicago Fire in 3 years. All right. Like, I don't, like, even we could win.
You don't think we're going to finally be good going into a new stadium?
Not to the point that we're going to be breaking down the door and be like, oh my God, there's a waiting list.
We literally already averaged 21K now. And we suck. I mean, we don't suck this year, but
it's so whenever they do those, like, you know, the average attendance, they take into account season ticket holders, you know, people that bought tickets on the street. So, like, if I have season tickets, or you that have season ticket holders, you have season tickets, if you have your ticket and you don't show up, they're still going to count you as a, you know, paid entrance. So, you know, yeah, you might say, oh yeah, we're averaging 21K, but in reality, there might only be 18,000 people in the stadium.
I just,
19,000.
Like that thing's gonna be full. Ticket prices are gonna be through the roof, and I'm gonna get priced out of this.
Let me ask. Look.
Hold on. There's one other problem. Well, wait. What did you have something else about the finances of it?
The fact, how long have you been a season ticket holder? So what? Since last year, right?
No, this is only year 2.
This is year 2. Okay. So, if you read that message, they're gonna prioritize season ticket holders as first dibs for seating. We both know that the cheapest seats in a stadium in any MLS game is always the supporter seats, and it benefits the Fire a lot more to make the supporter seats cheaper, because they want to pack. They want to make that place loud. They want to make that place.
You gotta worry about that. There's like, we're gonna be good. We're like,
going
to a new stadium. It's gonna be packed.
Well, they're gonna make it cheaper.
Be big enough? It's gonna be like the skinniest field.
Dude, they say you could fit. They say we're taking a third of it. They said it. They literally like picked up and dropped the Sox Stadium. That could take a third, and you could still have parking and pedestrian in the middle.
It's supposed to have a parking garage, but like, what I'm saying is, it benefits any team to make your supporter group seats cheap, because you want as many people as you can in that section. So, what you're also missing out too is that now supporter groups are going to have more say or more control what they like, like tifos, like they're gonna have the shit like other teams have, like with the raising the banner bullshit and making giant tifos and stuff like that. That's gonna be a norm now.
Well,
right?
and we're getting to the other thing that I'm very unhappy about that I'm hearing is that it's going to be standing room only. Now, like, I don't even know how that works. People were saying other teams in MLS have it. I need to see
Yeah,
pictures
you
of
never
these
didn't you
stadiums
see didn't you see
without.
the Orlando didn't you see the Orlando game where they had like it's standing room and people all they have is like a bar where they could hold on to,
Dude, what
and
the
that
fuck, though? That's so stupid because,
look, if you wanna if you wanna be lazy, bro, you can come sit next to
lazy.
me.
Dude, I stand the whole game, but I'd
You
like
could
to
come
sit down
you can come
I'd
sit
like
next
to
to me,
sit
bro.
down during halftime.
You can
Right?
come sit next to
I'd
me.
like to actually eat something. Like, how the fuck are you gonna buy anything? Where are you gonna set it down? So I got everything in my
They're
hands. I'm trying to
probably gonna
cheer.
have they're
Yeah.
probably gonna have places for people to eat. They
Dude, like,
literally have a
what if I buy something? What the fuck? Like a hat or a fucking shirt? Like, I'm gonna have to carry
okay.
this thing.
Oh
I can't
my
put it
God.
down
Yeah,
the seat. Like,
yes.
and let's get real. And here's the real fucking problem: is like that shit is gonna be nowhere near as angled as it needs to be. As being fucking 5'5", like it's seeing around a flag is one thing. Standing behind every fucking 6'4" cocksucker on the planet is another.
Dude, look at this location. It looks sick.
That is literally between it's between what is it? The two isn't it between the 290 and 55 with
Yeah.
94? So it's like the infrastructure mecca of like stadiums. Like
I know
you
you
can
could
go
get it. It's so easy to get to. Like I say Soldier Field's easy because it's easy for me. This is easy for just
doesn't
about anybody.
doesn't the red line pass through there too?
I'm pretty sure that's the red line. Like, see that stop right there? That's the Roosevelt stop, where like every line goes through other than the blue line.
Yeah, so there's a lot of benefits to having a stadium like this. Besides the fact that you're gonna get a parking garage, because I drive in, but on the odd day that I might say, you know what, let's take the fucking train. Let me experience that. You know, that's a perk. But there's a lot more positives about this whole project than
Absolutely,
there is negatives.
especially if they don't cheap out in places. Like I remember going to the new Minnesota Twins stadium when it was new. It was recently, when it was recently new, and it was just awesome. It was like, oh wow, this place is fucking cool compared to White Sox Park and Comiskey and Wrigley, which both have their charms. But like going to some of these other ballparks, I was like, "Holy shit, this is wild!" And then you see some
So
of the other football stadiums, and compare it to what we have at Soldier Field, and Soldier Field like kind of sucks.
so you actually brought up a good point because like I know someone on the Fire Discord chat, someone actually brought up Q2, which is
Get
Austin's
my
stadium. And that stadium cost about 260 million to build. It's a nice stadium. But we're talking, and then LAFC stadium cost around 300 million to build. But then you're talking about Joe Mansueto about to spend 650 million on a stadium. So you kind of have to imagine that he's building a stadium with all the bells and whistles.
dude. He might make a crown jewel of Chicago.
That's what I'm thinking. Like he's going for the bells and whistles.
He's
This.
he's also got to
The
have
only people
forethought
that'll be able to go
to have that
are
to have it be like interchangeable. Maybe it could host a football game.
Well, they weren't talking about football. They said fuck that bullshit. They was talking about concerts and stuff. Though.
Yeah.
And
concerts.
but what how state of the art can you make it for only 22,000 people? Like what the only people? This is gonna be like the fucking only people going are corporate people taking.
So is it
customers out and shit.
22? Is it 22.5 thousand seating capacity? Because if that's the case, now you have to take into account there actually might be standing room only capacity. Which might bump it up.
Well, and welcome to more. Yeah, do you like fights in the section? Here comes more fights in the section.
I mean, they did that for Wrigley during the World Series. They They sold all their seats, and hey, the only standing room only. You want to pay a few $1,000
Well, yeah,
to
but that
stand
was
around?
like extenuating circumstances. They was
Yeah.
on the fucking concourse. It wasn't like they was.
Well, I've seen it done.
It
at
wasn't like,
Bridgeview.
yo, let's start a mosh pit down here, dog.
I've seen
like-
it done in Bridgeview before, though. When in 2017, when the fire were red hot, it was a regular occurrence to see to see a message saying sold out, standing room only for Bridgeview for a fire game.
And that was for Bastian Schweinsteiger, man. Like
2017.
there's no chance these tickets are they will be the highest price tickets in the league.
They need someone to sell it. They're gonna need a name and a face to sell it.
Yeah, you think they're not gonna outprice everybody, because then they won't have anybody at the stadium. You might have like your random family and that's it. Like I said, like I just mentioned before, MLS itself is an acquired taste. You can
like caviar.
Like you can find soccer fans anywhere in the city of Chicago. Hey, you walk into the Glow Pub on a Saturday morning, that place is fucking filled with a bunch of Premier League snobs.
Yeah, and if we were good for a couple of years in a row, they'd come to the game.
Don't you ever see like the look that people give you when you tell them, "Oh yeah, I support the Chicago Fire"? They're like, "Oh, you support that MLS team?" Like, again, acquired taste.
There's
right?
some UFO.